and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to teach you how to make these runes inspired by Arcane Season 2. And as someone with minimal sculpting and resin knowledge, I would say this is a beginner-friendly tutorial. The first step was actually sculpting the rune. To make the rune, I used Sculpey and some sculpting tools that I found on Amazon. And I'm gonna be so real right now, the sculpting was the hardest part of the whole process. But after what felt like many hours, I did figure out the design. And since Sculpey is an oven-baked clay, I just popped that sucker in the oven and followed the baking instructions on the package. Now it's time to take that clay rune and make a mold. Because while you could paint the clay rune and it would look good, I wanted mine to be made out of resin. This isn't sponsored, but if you want to follow this tutorial to a T, I'm using the Let's Resin silicone mold kit. Sorry about all of the footage of me getting this out of my fingernails, I was truly having a sensory nightmare. But the kit is really easy to use. You just mix equal parts of jar A and jar B and mix them to combine, making sure there is no marbling. Before I stick the whole rune in the mold, I'm taking a little bit of the silicone and squishing it into the engraving. And this will ensure that my resin piece comes out of the mold looking exactly like the piece that I sculpted. Optional step, I carved rune 1 into the mold with an X-Acto knife, just in case this one failed and I needed to make another one. I let the mold cure for a little over 30 minutes, and as you can see here, it turned out perfect. Now it's time to don my PPE because it's time to work with resin. Much like Hextech itself, this was highly experimental because I only had UV resin, and UV resin isn't really supposed to work with opaque molds. But I had theories I wanted to test, so I went with it anyway. And if you've been resin crafting for a long time and my techniques make you itchy, you can use whatever techniques you prefer. For this first run through, I just tried using teal alcohol ink and blue holographic chunky glitter, and I did really like the way that this looked. Until I made what I thought was a good decision and added a layer of blue fine glitter, and I just didn't really like the way that this turned out. I thought it made the color too dark and I could no longer see the engraving. Like, don't get me wrong, it looks pretty, it's just not what I had in mind. For my next experiment, I used some leftover mica powder that I had from a Miniverse kit. And then I followed the same steps as the previous rune, where I messed around with alcohol ink and chunky glitter, but then I skipped the fine glitter because, as I mentioned earlier, wasn't a huge fan of that. But this time I also added some other colors of ink to see if that would add more dimension. And while this was closer to what I had in mind, it was a little bit too much mica powder, but it also was the wrong color of mica powder. But now that I feel like I sort of know what I'm doing, I feel comfortable investing in the correct colors of the materials. And I think these will make an excellent addition to future Arcane cosplays. Thank you so much for watching, and if you liked this video, please remember to like and subscribe so you can see more of my shenanigans, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!